a transit trade agreement. Second was a preferential trade agreement. Then we had to have connectivity. Honda Motor Company is saying that they are going to make Pakistan their manufacturing hub for this area.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another session of Policy Beats. Today we have a very renowned and important guest with us, Mr. Razak Dawood. He is advisor to the Prime Minister on commerce and investment in Pakistan. He has vast experience in terms of policy advice to the government and his own entrepreneurial activities. So, welcome, sir. Welcome to the session. If I may, you have recently went into a trade agreement, a preferential trade agreement with Uzbekistan. There are so many other Central Asian states, and what we've heard that there is lots of potential for trade and exports in Pakistan in certain areas. So, would you shed some light on that? That how we're going to tap that potential in Afghanistan in terms of that trade agreement?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think it's a very important topic that you have raised. I'd just like to step back a little as to why are we looking at the Central Asian republics. Why, we have to, for our long-term security, for our long-term stability in the country, we have to make our economy grow. And one of the things that makes the economy grow is that we've got to be able to increase our economic activities. To increase our economic activities, you can increase your activities in the region, or you can go outside your region. When we look at how the other countries have developed, we see that, let's take the example of the European Union. European Union, their trade amongst themselves with their neighbors can be as high as 80-85%. We see ASEAN countries where they have got together and they have started trading amongst themselves, and they're at the level of 50-60%. We look at our country, Pakistan, and what are we doing with our neighbors? And we're down to 5%.
A sad figure.
So that's sad. So this is why when we sat down and we said, no, we have to increase our trade and connectivity with our neighboring countries. We have a problem with India, fine. But let's look at our western borders. Let's look at our northern borders. There's a vast opportunity for us. So that's why we got together and we said no. We discussed with the Prime Minister. Prime Minister said, yes, we must go ahead with connectivity. So we started with Afghanistan. The reason why we started with Afghanistan, we already have a transit trade agreement, which was due to expire, so we started that. Then we talked with Afghanistan that why don't we have a preferential trade agreement? So I said, absolutely, why not? So we started that. Then we started our communications with Uzbekistan. And the first communication took place between our Prime Minister and their President when they met on the sidelines of the Shanghai organization. And both the heads said that we must move forward. On the basis of that, their Vice Prime Minister came to Pakistan. I met him. We spent a whole day just doing nothing but thinking strategically. So it became quite apparent that we must get ourselves into a win-win situation. What do they want? And I asked them, what do you want? And I told them what I wanted. They said, for us, we want access to the warm waters. Because for us, because we were part of the Soviet Union, all our connectivity was east-west. We never had a north-south, and this is the closest that we have.
And with CPEC underway, that access would be much
Absolutely. So that's what we want. They said, are you willing to give us a piece of land at Gwadar where we can build our own warehouses, park our goods, and from there ship it to the Middle East, to Africa, to Asia? I said, fine. Then he said, what are you looking for? I said, what we're looking for is access to the north. We want access to the Central Asian republics. If we get into the Central Asian Republic, because of the great good connectivity that you have with Moscow and beyond, we want to be part of that. So you get access, we get access. It's a win-win situation. We will ask you that please give us land on your border so we can park our goods and ship them to the Central Asian Republic, and from there on to through via Moscow onto Europe. So here was a classical win-win situation. Both of us said, let's do it. So what were the instruments to be able to do that? One was a transit trade agreement. Second was a preferential trade agreement. Then we had to have connectivity through banking system, connectivity through trucking. So all these items were discussed.
Are there like any economic zones on the plate in this process?
There's no need for it at the moment.
At the moment, there is no need for it.
Let's get the wheel turning. We've got to get the wheel turning first.
Right.
Then I said to them, I'm prepared to bring a group of business people to Tashkent. And so let's have a
B2B
trade and investment conference, B2B. And so we agreed, and then we went there in July.
We hope that really pays to Pakistan in the long
It did.
run.
And 130 business people went there. Beautiful arrangement. They did a very good job for us. Our Prime Minister addressed the Uzbek business people and our own business people in Tashkent.
Very well.
Why Uzbekistan first? Uzbekistan first because it has the largest population. Uzbekistan is the only Central Asian republic that is connected to all of them.
All of them.
So
right.
Once you're in Uzbekistan, you can go in any direction.
Anywhere. Right.
So and they were very, very forthcoming. So here we are. We've signed the transit trade agreement. We will, inshallah, sign the preferential trade agreement in September. And we're now working on the banking system. We've already moved in getting the two customs procedures and processes.
That is the most important part of our trade agreement.
So that we have removed many hurdles. And the other hurdle that is now getting out of the way is there was a hang-up by them, by us, that we want Uzbek trucks to ply all the way down to Karachi, and we want Pakistani trucks to go all the way through to Uzbekistan, into Kazakhstan, into Russia. So that was the thing. So basically, it's a very, very good a win-win situation, and Yes, and with lots of prospects. If we look at the trade that these Central Asian republics do, it's over 90 billion. So there's a big size that we
A
can
big trade potential to tap.
absolutely.
Sir, coming to that trade thing again, obviously, because what I have realized that you know that Pakistan has had lots of growth spurts. I've discussed it with other economists as well. When our economy starts to grow, we go into a crisis of balance of payment, and that leads to our need to go for financial assistance, and that happens times and again. It's a cycle that we're not getting out of. Now, you being an advisor for commerce and trade, what I realize is that our export basket is mostly limited to textile sector till now, right? We had CPAC. Now we have this kind of an agreement that where they will expect that to trade more with these countries. Have we done anything to diversify our trade basket to more value-added goods towards tech side, maybe at least something that generates more revenue as compared to the textile sector?
Okay, before I talk about that particular aspect, I just again would like to step back as to what are we trying to do. If we look at the last 20 years, 30 years, Pakistan has never been a country, and as a businessman, I can vouch for that. Pakistan has never been a country that was wanting to do make in Pakistan policy. Never. Import everything. Absolutely. Keep importing, no problem.
And when the consumer baskets changed to mobiles and laptops, we were in the crisis.
Okay. So, first thing that we discussed with the Prime Minister, that this has to change.
Exactly.
We've got to move away from being a traders dominated economy to one that is dominated by industrialists. And we will never, I can very clearly say that. Now it's a different story. The traders know that they're no longer the favorite boys. They know it full well. And as I said to them, it's not that I love you less, I love industrialists more.
True.
That's
what's needed right now.
That's the thing. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so now we're focusing. And when you start your industrialization, you do it through Make in Pakistan, stroke, what's the word? Import substitution. Once you do import substitution, that through import substitution, you get to a critical mass and you start exporting.
You already have a room for exports.
Absolutely. Now, in the case of textile, we did this long time ago.
Yes, we
and
did
now
that.
textile.
But then we stuck to that sector only.
Yeah.
We never
Now,
focused on the
what
other
you're
areas.
saying is absolutely correct. If we want to grow and become an economy of where our exports are 100, 200 billion dollars, textile will not take us there.
Exactly.
The whole world's textile industry is not big enough.
It's not big enough.
The whole world's textile industry is only $1 trillion. It's nothing. Engineering, 9 trillion.
Exactly.
So, and what are we in then? Nothing. So now, we developed what we call a strategic trade policy framework. We've done it.
I've seen that.
It's
I've seen
prepared.
that document.
What is the theme? If there is one word one thread that goes through it all, and that word is diversification. We have to diversify out of our existing products. Even in the textile, we're in low value added. We've got to get to the higher value added.
addition.
We've got to get out from textiles into other sectors. And we've got to get out into different geographies. And this Central Asian Republic
Is one of the
policy is one of
examples. Is one of the examples. Diversify the product and the market.
absolutely. So now we're moving. Well, let's ask ourselves: have we been successful? Let me give you a classical example. 2 years ago, Pakistan, in its traditional way, favor the traders, import. All the mobile phones coming into Pakistan were imported 2 years ago, 3 years ago. What is the situation today? Last year, we brought out a local mobile phone manufacturing policy, introduced it. People started coming in, and now they've invested. Today, we have over a dozen people manufacturing in Pakistan.
That's wonderful, sir.
So it means it started. And I'm happy to report that now about 30% of the phones sold in Pakistan are locally produced.
Assembled, and somehow some parts of those will be manufactured.
They are assembled, they are manufactured, parts of them are manufactured, parts of them are assembled.
That leads to spillover over the long run in any way. Once you start assembling, you spill over towards your indigenous technologies later on.
Motorcycles today has now reached a critical mass. We are manufacturing almost. Yeah, and total motorcycles manufactured in Pakistan is now up to almost 3 million. So that means we've reached that critical mass. And the Honda company made a statement to the Prime Minister that they have got the first export order for exporting, they said 6,000 motorbikes. That's just the beginning. The other good news is, and again it comes to another important area, is investment. Now, Honda Motor Company is saying that they are going to make Pakistan their manufacturing hub for this area.
That's wonderful news again.
You see, it's not we're going to do it.
Because once an industry comes in, there are so many spillovers that even the other sectors develop along with it. That's what's needed in Pakistan.
And it is not, as I say, hum log ye karenge, we will do this. No,
it's happening right
done.
Now. It's done. It's happening.
It's done.
Right. Wonderful.
So there is diversification, getting out of away from textile, but we don't want to hurt textile. Let me give you some examples of inside textile. Very interesting. Pakistan was known as an exporter of cotton yarn and cotton grey cloth. Right? Historically. What were the results of this year that ended on 30th of June 2021? Results. Export of knitwear up 39%. Exports of home textiles up 27%. Exports of garments up 26%. Export of yarn down 2%.
That means more manufacturing is taking place.
More manufacturing taking place for value added.
That's good.
Another thing that we in the Ministry of Commerce are watching all the time is of our cotton. What is the dollar value that we're getting for every pound of raw cotton that we grow or import? And you can see the curve going like this. It means we're on the right track. So inside textiles, we're on the right track.
And outside
we're on the right track.
We're growing also.
and geographical diversification
That's an
with
important
the
element. Central Asian
Uzbekistan.
states,
We're
yes.
again
Mm.
on the right track.
We're gaining the grounds right now.
We're getting the ground, and inshallah, I am very, very hopeful that this goes on. Another problem, and what we were talking with the Prime Minister is what is our main worry for people like myself, and that is growth to shuru ho gayi hai.
Ji.
Is growing. We've started to grow. Question: will it be sustainable?
Exactly.
Historically, we've moved forward 3
We are
years,
pulled down by the crisis, BOP crisis, basically.
and that's it. And something happened. We're back in the BOP crisis.
True.
We go back to the IMF. IMF puts very tough conditions, and back we go.
Yes.
Now we have to be able to make sure that we this growth is sustainable, and inshallah it will.
But that also needs policy consistency from the government also.
Absolutely.
Because once you have like put ahead industrialists in Pakistan, and that was needed like 20-30 years ago, but even if you're doing it right now, if that status is revoked again, we'll be in the same issue as we have been like in like last 50-60 years. We just hope that this policy is sustainable and it's kept consistently across Pakistan. Sir, another question related when we're talking about like what Pakistan has been doing in exports. You told us about the motorcycle industry, the mobile phones, all those are like well taken. We have recently heard that there is an IT boom going on in Pakistan at this moment. So is like government trying to facilitate that process for IT exports in Pakistan?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you where it began. When in March 2020, we got into the COVID situation, and it was new to all of us in Pakistan. And everyone was worried, and the whole world was going lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. And we were also looking at that. The Prime Minister took a very good decision that let's not go too far on lockdown. Let there be a smart lockdown.
Right. That worked actually.
Yeah. So in that, the IT people came to see me and said that, look, why don't close us? And we will obey all the SOPs and let us do it. So we met a meeting, and the Prime Minister took the decision IT can remain open. And they did. And the IT people started telling us that, for the first time after many, many years, the outside customers are looking at us with a different eye. It was always, Pakistan, you're terrorists, you do this, you do that. We're not sure, we're not safe. This time around, they said, well, you're the only country out here in this part. India was closed, Philippines was closed. You are the only ones that is open. So they started shifting the business to Pakistan. And once the opening takes place, then a good businessman always takes advantage. And so that started. And whenever there was the first wave, second wave, third wave, we never closed
The IT sector.
our IT sector or call centers. No. Pakistanis was open for business. So that started. And we ended this year, 30th of June, our IT sector grew the highest. I gave you just now figures of textile, and the maximum was 39%. IT grew by 47%. And for the first time, we have now crossed the 2 billion mark. So $2 billion worth of IT export is there. Now the question comes, how are we going to sustain it? So we had meetings with them. They've given us their suggestions. We're saying to them, nothing less than 50% growth again, minimum. We cannot afford. We want that sustainability of growth. So you've got to go further. Either you give us from 2 you go to 3, or from 2 you go to 4. If you can get that done, wow. What is the problem? The main problem that we have is that we don't have trained manpower. 35,000 computer science graduates are there, coming out of universities, but they're not properly trained.
To attract the business or enter the business
so
world.
we're now working out, and I'll be calling them next week. How do we sit down? And it requires money. We'll give them the funds, no issue. Take the money. But now let's find a way that we have a win-win situation. We give you the money, you train the people, you give us the exports, and let that cycle
Let's
start.
the cycle begin.
That's what we want. And IT is a phenomenal business. No raw material.
Definitely.
So manpower.
Minimum resources required.
We have the people. We've got to train them and get thousands and thousands of young Pakistanis to work.
Sir, thank you very much for these deeper insights and very optimistic view of the country, because we after talking to you, I realized that we are on the right track, and I hope that track is sustainable. And thank you very much for coming to our policy beats, and your insights have been very well taken. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.
Thank you for inviting me.